thank you all for your patience. A couple of us had some logistical challenges, and so we appreciate you bearing with us here for a few minutes. It's nice to see everyone. We will start off today's meeting with a call the roll, and I'll turn to Secretary Kent Kramer to call it.
Chairman. All right, Mike Galley,
Present.
Dennis Bland,
Present.
Kathy Cabela, Ted Caspernoga,
Present.
Judd Fisher, Samantha Fletcher,
Present.
Larry Dave Tony,
Here.
Bill Hanna,
Present.
Nancy Jordan,
Present online.
Molly Kitchell,
Present.
and Kramer's here, Pepper Mulholland,
Present.
Dan Peterson.
I am here, finally. Mr. Chair. Great, thank you very much, everyone. So I'd also like to ask everyone to, if you will, please all stand. We are going to, with the arrival of Commissioner Jenner, she brought along many great ideas, including the fact that we are going to begin future meetings, including today's, with the Pledge of Allegiance. When we talked about it, I said, I don't know why we've never done that. We really should. So thank you all for doing this. We'll turn and pledge allegiance to our country. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice.
I think those online stood as well.
I did.
was happy to hear
It was a chorus.
them. It was a chorus.
Here, taxing the length of this cord here. Probably need to pull it out every time I move it, so. So I would also like to, oh, it's fine to show. Before we move on with the agenda, I would like to welcome and recognize the fact that this is Commissioner Jenner's first meeting in this role, and we've had some great commissioners of this institution and organization, and no one moves into this role with any better credibility or respect. Katie is just such a passionate advocate for students at all levels, and so we're excited to have you here working with us, leading us, and just wanted to recognize that fact. So welcome. All right, let's see, moving on with the agenda. Today, we will begin the meeting with our approval of our agenda. May I have a motion for approval of the agenda? So moved. Can I have a second? Second. Okay, any questions or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. All right, excellent. Your agenda book contains the minutes from our September meeting, which you have seen. We would look for a motion for the approval of the minutes from that September meeting.
So move.
Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Were there any comments, questions, corrections? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, very good. Number one, before we move to Commissioner Jenner's comments, I did want to do a couple things here. Number one, thank you to Indiana University for being our host in today's meeting. You'll hear more from them later, number one. Number two, I also want to mention that, and even though Judd's not here, he will be in a moment because he's stuck in traffic on 69. But in 2024, under Judd's leadership as the chair of the commission, we made a very important and pivotal decision, I think, in moving the student success committee's work to a committee of the whole rather than a separate independent committee. And for that, I think that's been a very positive thing to make sure that the integral work of how we support our students is brought in full capacity to the entire commission. So this definitely created a valuable platform for our institutions to showcase the good work that they're doing and the innovative strategies they're employing to really ensure student success and high quality outcomes. So as we look forward also, as we look forward to 2026, and I think everyone knows this, we are going to make a change to bring and help improve and streamline our meetings and make it as efficient as possible. We're going to begin having these meetings here in the Indiana State Library. And we were committed to hearing from the institutions, of course, even though we, at least for the time being, will not be moving around the state as we've done in the past. We value, and it's important that the institutions have the ability to come and really interchange with us and give good information about what they're doing around student success, as well as every other aspect of what they're doing. So again, thank you, Indiana University, for hosting. You're going to be helping lead us through that part of the topic later in the meeting. So with that, I will pass it along to our commissioner, Secretary Jenner, for her comments.
Well, thank you, Dan. And occasionally I will look down at my cell phone, and usually it's someone in the audience reminding me of things I need to say. And that has already happened within the first meeting. And so Bill Hanna just shot me a text and said, hey, Veterans Day this week, it'd be great to know if we have any veterans in the room. So if we do, could you please stand? Okay. Thank you very, very much for your service to our country. And thank you for the text reminder. You are all welcome to text me at any time during the meeting. I tell you what, it's a month in, and it's been a real pleasure to get to know so many different people. I have the opportunity to speak with every commission member, some multiple times, I'd say probably most multiple times. Had the opportunity to speak to every one of our public college and university presidents multiple times. Many of our private college presidents have reached out. Had breakfast with Commissioner Lowry, lunch with past Commissioner Lovers, coffee with past Governor Daniels, conversation with many, many higher ed advocates, and there are a ton in Indiana. Have also had the opportunity to speak to many of our legislative leaders about what's ahead. I believe wholeheartedly the way we build the greatest consensus and synergy all starts and ends with people. It's all about relationship building, working together to drive real change. And so I will tell you, it is an honor to serve with so many of you. In those conversations, what I always listen to the most is, what's the common ground, what's the opportunity, and how can we drive forward and move the needle as quickly as possible. So today, I'd like to just do a couple of level sets. It's up there. I almost always stand when I'm presenting, so this is so different. It's a teacher in me, I think, but since there's a stage, I'm not going to be on that stage. I'm going to sit right here. But I'd like to level set a few things. First of all, just a quick level set on the education vertical. I think everyone in the room is aware. For those online, we'll make sure you're aware. Also level set the really important role of this commission and exactly what statute charges us to do. We have several commission members who are more senior, not senior in spirit or age, but have been around for a while on this commission. And then we also have some who are newer. So just the level set of what does statute charge us to do? And then finally, I'll get to really looking ahead and what is our shared opportunity? What are the key outcomes that we're focused on? When you think about the outcomes you're driving towards, you always have to think about what are the tactics that are hopefully moving the needle with those outcomes. You think about this at the university level, we think about this at the state level. And then are those tactics showing return on investment? Over the coming months, we're gonna have really honest conversation with you and with Indiana. It's millions of dollars that we have an opportunity to deploy to support students in our state. So let's make sure we're doing it to the full benefit. So, is there, just real quick, if I'm talking about something, this is for my team, I'm talking about something, I'm on the wrong slide, just like give me like a little signal. Okay, we'll get these signals down in the future, don't you worry. So let me start with the education vertical overview. Many of you know, yes, Indiana Department of Education, State Board of Education, Commission for Higher Education. We also, in our vertical, and again, it's one shared goal, one shared mission, have the charter school board. The charter school board is an authorizer. It's not a board that looks after all of our charter schools. It's an authorizer. The Education Employee Relations Board, which is specifically focused on teacher contracts. The Indiana School for the Deaf, the Indiana School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, and the Indiana State Library, which is right here where we are today. Beautiful location. When we think about our budget, education makes up around 60%. Yes, K-12 is by far the majority of that 60%, running typically between 47% and 50%, depending on the budget year. Higher ed is about 8 to 10%, also depending on the budget year. All in, we're looking at about $26 billion for education. I've shared this with educators at multiple levels, and I want to be very honest and real with this group here. What does keep me up at night for sure is we continue to have a Medicaid squeeze. So to think that we're going to get a lot of additional funding is just not necessarily realistic. I think we have to do the best we can, and the president's not talked about this, we have to do the best we can to make sure we're showing, again, what is our return on investment for the money that we do have. Here's how we could benefit in investing more. Make sure the General Assembly is aware of that, but it is tight, and again, with Medicaid, I think that it will continue that pressure on our state budget. Let's talk commission structure and responsibilities. So this is all in statute. The commission is a 14-member board appointed by the governor, serves as the coordinating higher ed agency of the state of Indiana. We are down one member. The governor is working on adding an additional member. The commission operates as an independent agency. We collaborate with those other agencies that I just listed and with many others like Department of Workforce Development, FSSA, et cetera. That is all in statute. There's been a number of questions about, is it all going to combine? What's it going to look like in the future? Any change ahead would have to be legislatively decided. So, like, the way I look at it is, let's do the very best we can as commission members and make sure we're setting up higher ed for success, just as we'll do in the other areas as well. Our role as a commission, there's some pretty important things that this commission is responsible for. And I'll get into more details, but the two overall, yes, degree program, review and approval, and then also financial oversight and review. And again, the specifics are coming here. So the first slide you see is specifically about degree program review and approval. Dennis Land has so kindly chaired that committee for several years, talking to Dennis, talking to our presidents as well. And then also Mike Alley's on, I'm going to say the same for capital projects. We are going to absolutely look at how we can make sure our processes are as streamlined as possible and can move as quickly as possible to make the best decisions for Indiana. So Dennis and I will be getting together, Matt, Certainly, you'll be included, and then I'll also ask higher ed presidents to please, and so government reps, if you're in the room, please make sure this is on your to-do list as well. We'd love feedback on how to ensure these processes are as streamlined as possible to keep moving at the pace of change that we need to. So your feedback will be important. You can see under this, I'm not going to read all of the sub-bullets here, but a number of responsibilities that come in really looking at every program or existing degree program. The next is financial oversight and review. Capital projects, I just mentioned this, and Mike Galley and I've talked. He has kindly chaired that committee for several years, very knowledgeable. I've also spoken with Senator Mishler and Representative Thompson very recently, and talked to them about the same. How might we make sure it's streamlined as possible? We limit the bureaucracy where we can so that we continue moving as a state. And again, Mike and I will be connecting with legislative leadership to ensure that what we're preparing and providing as a commission is very informative to the General Assembly, because as you know, most of this almost all goes to Budget Committee as well. Certainly in capital projects, it all does. We also, as a commission, review legislative requests, budgets. We make recommendations to the State Budget Committee and the governor. Of course, we don't formally approve those, the State Budget Committee does. We review tuition and fees, also make recommendations for public institutions. And then the public institution goes beyond the recommendation. They will go to State Budget Committee to share their case as to why it should be higher. State Budget Committee also has the right, as we are all sometimes reminded, to call any of us at any time, so they could call universities to the table as well. And then campuses and locations. I don't know that this doesn't happen very often, but we are able to vote to approve or disapprove the establishment of any new college or school, branches, campuses, locations, etc. That is our commission responsibility per statute. That's what the General Assembly expects us to very much stay focused on. We also, in Indiana, of course, have boards of trustees at every single one of our universities, and they are responsible for the management, operation, and financing of each of the universities. And I think that level set is important. And many of you know this in the room, because every state looks a little bit different in how they govern, what their expectations are. So that is our Indiana current state as of today. So higher education level set. Looking ahead, some key areas of focus. And by the way, all of this is very familiar to what we've been working on. The team has been just fantastic. We've reviewed, of course, the HOPE agenda. We reviewed some of the work in the past that Commissioner Lovers and team did. So really try to get a sense of what are our key areas of focus. I'm a big believer, and you'll quickly get to know my leadership style. If we try to boil the ocean, nothing will get done. We try to do all the things. So really I've tried to narrow it down to three key things. Number one, making sure higher education is more affordable and accessible to our students and families. There are a lot of opportunities there, some tactics that we've already moved, some additional that we can continue to deploy. Number two, increasing educational attainment for all Hoosiers. And number three, streamlining our higher education degree programs to better align knowledge and skills industry demand. And also, and this was a strong theme that I heard over and over again from stakeholders of all kinds. As public higher ed, we are really absolutely going to do everything we can to provide knowledge and skills to our students in their specific major. We are also, and this is one that is probably not called out as much, you're going to hear us call it out more. We are also have a great opportunity to make sure we build and develop the best possible citizens of our country. And that matters. We want them to not only have the degree, but also be prepared to positively contribute to communities, our state, and our country. So let's dig into each very quickly. And this is going to be a high-level data set. Affordability, this is what we know today. Approximately 60,000 students receive state financial aid annually. That's approximately 32% of Indiana undergraduate residents. Now, certainly, we could have students who receive funding in other ways to attend our fine universities, but that is the percentage and population we serve with our state financial aid. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to all of our Indiana public institutions who in June committed to a tuition freeze and also freezing mandatory fees. That is not easy to do. And I, again, talked to every single president and sincerely acknowledge the leadership that they've shown in making that happen for Hoosier families. Some key tactics working to move the needle in this area. And I will note, if there are other tactics that we're deploying that you say, well, we should probably look into that. Please flag them. These are some of the main ones, and these are the tactics in which we are going to be studying return on investment. So that's why it's key that we ensure that we have those tactics identified. I mean, certainly the 21st Century Scholars Program, FAFSA, and the impact of that increase, state student financial aid, and then tuition and fee setting. Around each of these big areas, one thing we are going to make sure of is that they all have SMART goals. I think some of the goals have been based on ranking. I think ranking matters. We want Indiana to win every single time. But we also have to make sure we're very clear on here's where we are today, here's where we're going, and here's the time to which we're going to hit that goal. So stay tuned for more information on that. And again, feel welcome to weigh in. The next big area is educational attainment, both enrollment and completion. So just a high-level sense of where we are today in Indiana. We collect in Indiana for every single cohort, which is a graduating class, and for every single student within that cohort, exactly what they want to do right after high school. We typically have, this is staying pretty similar over the years, about 76 of Hoosier high school graduates say they intend to go on to some form of higher learning. When we did a Gallup survey and also studied parents, it's very similar. It was around 73%. So we know that that is an interest. We also know the data, the commission has elevated this over the years, about 52% actually do. And again, those numbers have been on a decline. 26% of our students who enroll in a 2-year college or university graduate on time, 53% who enroll in a 4-year college or university graduate on time. That does vary from university to university, and it's all something that we are going to probably have on a dashboard to be watching. I understand, and I've talked to, again, all of the college presidents at this point. I understand, all of our colleges have unique qualities and differences. We should talk about that as we're putting this forward together. Glad to hear from you. But one thing I wholeheartedly believe is we have to be outcomes focused. We have to be very transparent where we are today in order to move the needle for the future. A few opportunities that, again, this commission has talked about, and a huge compliment to our higher education partners and the team in here in Indiana. We have an increasing number of students leaving with a credential of value in high school. So when we think about college going rate, we also need to point to, and this is data, commission members, that it's going to be coming to you probably in the January meeting. But we have a number of students who are leaving with a stackable credential upon high school graduation. It is growing at a significant pace. A lot of that is due to years and years of work by many people in this room to ensure Indiana ranks top of the nation for students leaving with college credit. Indiana is #1 in the nation for this. Sometimes Idaho, this is where my competitiveness comes out. Sometimes Idaho says they're #1. They're #1 when it comes to community college enrollment. In Indiana, in our huge success, because there are multiple institutions who have their hands in to support kids earning college credit. When you look at all of the college credit in all of our universities, we're #1 nationwide. Approximately 62 to 64% of every single high school graduating class has some sort of college credit. The average student leaves with 14.2 credits. I will tell you, that's the first time I've ever seen or used that talking point. In the past, it's always been 13.5, but that shows the trajectory of how it continues to grow. When we run that data across the state, what we see is thousands of students within 1 to 2 to 3 classes of completing the credential. Many of them in the past have not even been aware. So part of our opportunity together, and we working on, is to totally rethink our system, set students up for success early. And I've shared this example with probably Dan and others in this room. I think about I didn't run track. Do you guys run track in here? Okay. Do you? I won't put you on the line and make the race. I'll play soccer, because I love to slide tackle. I know that doesn't shock anyone. But I love to watch our track runners, especially in the relay races. Because they, at full speed, faster than I could ever imagine running, at full speed are passing this baton back in such a scheduled practice way. And rarely do they drop the baton. And so I think that in so many ways resonates with our shared work. How do we ensure we are not dropping the baton between K-12, higher ed, career, what's next? I know that's something that we've been working hard on and will continue to stay laser focused on that. A few key tactics. And again, if you have other key tactics that we need to run the return on investment on, please flag them for us. Some key tactics that are being deployed to move the needle in this area. #1, guaranteed enrollment. That's pretty new in Indiana, but a number of ways that students can have guaranteed enrollment to our colleges or universities. So again, trying to pass the baton more seamlessly between one chapter of a student's life to the next. #2, again, those credentials of value. With the Indiana College Board, number increasing there, and also CTE credentials of value, the number increasing there. That is allowing us to more readily and easily pass the baton. And then also, I think some of our work that we've done so far, but really an opportunity ahead is to ensure all the credentials have stackability. So we have a lot of MOUs between one college to another college. When talking to parents and families and students, unless they're very focused on that one thing, many don't know the whole system and what all is possible in terms of stackability. So how do we work to improve and build stackability among our credentials? There are a number of groups working on that in Indiana, and that will be a major push. The next one, industry alignment. And again, industry alignment, and I would also add, making sure that we are ensuring we're doing everything that we can to build quality citizens. Industry alignment, current and future needs, data level set. Indiana is currently the only state to include graduate retention in its outcomes-based performance funding formula. I understand that we did not get that funding this year. I'm already hearing from legislators that when we get to 2027, and of course a lot could change between now and then with the economy. But there's still interesting questions being asked about that outcomes-based funding formula, which I know this commission has worked hard on. Do there need to be a few tweaks here and there? Maybe. We can take a look at that. 73% of Indiana resident students across our public institutions remained in Indiana at least 1 year after graduation. That's compared to 58% of all students. I think we have a breakdown specifically, commission members, of Indiana students who stay in Indiana and non-Indiana students who are coming to Indiana and leave. I have that number in my mind. Our team wanted to do a little bit more fact checking, so that will be coming. But again, a key benchmark that we will honestly take a look at. We also, as you know in here, prior to AGA 1001, had over 3,400 degree and certificate programs. We'll continue to review and make sure our programs are as valuable as possible. Key tactics working to move the needle in this area. And actually, let me pause really quick, because with our degree certificate programs, I want to just flag, and I've shared this with all of our commission members and our presidents, but I want to make sure to share a question that we are going to add to the program review when faculty submit for review. Again, we want to make sure it's industry aligned, but we also want to produce the best citizens we can for our country. So one thing that we will ask them to answer when they do submit reviews: how does the proposed program cultivate civic responsibility and commitment to the core values of American society? For example, how does the curriculum include components that emphasize civic engagement and the duties of citizenship in a free society? That question will be added effective immediately, and we look forward to hearing responses from any programs that we review as a commission going forward. Some key tactics that are working to move the needle in this area. First, and I don't know how much commission members have talked about this in the past, and maybe you can bring someone in to speak about the talent association development and convening that is happening in our key town areas. That is very much business and industry led, where they're inviting education to the table. So more to come on that. Also, the development of the qualifications framework to build out stackable credentials. The General Assembly charged our team to build out the qualifications framework to submit to them. That will be public very shortly, and you all will be able to see how we are thinking through building stackable credential system in the future. Essentially, better on-ramps and off-ramps for our people. Also, already said a couple times, the degree program approval and review. And then the growth of apprenticeships, really benchmarking and understanding the impact of that on higher education. There are some additional tactics that were identified in multiple calls that we may need to develop. One that was flagged on repeat, we've already talked about it a bit, the graduation retention rate. Right now, that is a data point. I don't know that we have, as a state, a specific tactic. I think universities do, but that was flagged, so just again, want to transparently bring that one up. The other thing that was brought up on multiple calls by people is the ongoing impact of AI. AI is something that I know talking to our educators, the folks in this room, it is moving so quickly that in some cases, business and industry struggle to tell us how we need to move at that pace. So that is going to be a growing focus for us. Our work ahead, and I've already articulated this a couple of times, and if anything will show you how kind of my mind works, it's probably this slide. Ensure we have SMART goals aligned to our area of focus. Understand the return on investment for every single package. What is working, we will seek to advocate for more funding to support. We've been highly successful in K-12 in doing that, but we have to show the return on investment. What is not working, we'll be very honest and transparent. Here's where our data shows. Let's reallocate that to what is working. And then evaluate and consider additional tactics that we need to deploy to achieve the goals that we're after in the state of Indiana. Again, a couple of those are flagged. This was all, and this will be public, this was all shared, while it was formally shared, it really meant as a draft to get your feedback, to get if there are any things that we're missing or you think we need to add or look at, feel welcome to ping me. I saw my phone glowing a few times while I was talking. Can't wait to see what you're saying. But sure appreciate the opportunity to serve with so many in this room, and I'll pass it over to you.
Thank you, Secretary Jenner. I welcome comments from folks, not necessary, but certainly in response to some of the things you heard from Secretary Jenner. I would just like to say a couple things real quick and then open it up. But number one, I really want to commend Secretary. When it was determined that, and I think very rightly so, very excited for you to come in as commissioner, in addition to the roles and responsibilities as secretary overall and leading the entire vertical of education. I think the only hesitation some people have, including, is how in the world can you find time to do all of this?
A really good team.
Yeah, exactly.
Plenty of people.
But not only, I'm just so impressed, not only are you doing it kind of at an organizational level, but you, with the support of the team, are doing it in a very deep way. And I know it's early and that's important to do on the front end, but from what I've learned about how you do your business with Department of Ed, Board of Ed, all the other responsibilities, you are just so impressively super engaged in talking to everyone that really needs to be talked to really have a great understanding of what our roles and responsibilities are and how the different parts of the education vertical really work together and can work together. I have seen a little bit more about what the potential is for that, for not just efficiencies, but for effectiveness of the different parts of the education system to work more effectively together. So thank you for what you're doing, but also thank you for the approach you're making. I also want to say thank you to the entire team, CHE team, which is phenomenal. What a phenomenal group. And we've had the luxury of having just one successive phenomenal group of leaders along the way. As a testament to the commission and the work we do, but it's a testament to the folks that get on board who have really are just bought in and have worked, I think, seamlessly with you and others to really make this transition effective and appropriate. So thanks to the team for that. The only other comment I would make, and there's a lot in there in your level set and in your report out from talking to everyone that you talked to and referenced. I go back, I always think about when the attainment slide, when it talks about 76% of students think about that they say they want to go on to some form of post-secondary education, but when time comes, only 3% has been in that nature. That number is just so, and we put a lot of time into that through the Heart and Mind group that the endowment helped support to learn why that is. What I think about are the strategies that we have that we have already done, but also the potential that we can do more of in different ways across the education vertical to make an impact on that. So I think about the 21st Century Scholars Program. Since we added the Scholar Success Program, you now have that population, which ideally, or not ideally, but practically is the group that is the most challenged, probably for economic reasons and other reasons, to actually make that decision to go on to school and then complete. And they actually go at an 80% rate. So whereas the population in general drops to a 50-some% level, those scholars that go through that program go at an 81% level, I think was the last number I saw, and actually complete at a higher rate than any other subgroup. So to me, that's emblematic of the type of thing that we can continue to not only do with that program, but with others. So I'll shut up, but I just want to follow on with some thanks to everyone and a couple of following comments. Ted, I see your hands up.
Yeah, Madam Secretary, I'm just really, I don't know what a smart goal is.
You ready for it? Specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, common.
It's pretty,
I will email you that. You're gonna see some of my, well, I'm a data nerd, but that's the easiest way to, yeah. You can hang that on your wall in the future. And I will
will you sign it?
Absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
I could begin by echoing your comments, Mr. Chair. Secretary, that excellent presentation, outstanding. And I also want to highlight specifically just the tremendous job of level setting. And I appreciate the strong vision that's articulated there in the lecture. This is very impressive. To echo the chair's thoughts. Also want to appreciate the focus on education attainment. As Mr. Chair stated, I just also want to emphasize the appreciation around the emphasis in enrollment and engagement. They seem small, but they really stay. In terms of a gracious offering that may create opportunity for the state to create all or to achieve what we're trying to achieve. On the educational attainment, I have written the note, I have inserted educational appreciation, interest, preparedness, and attainment. So in my work, what I've seen over the years is that there is a conversation that assumes those three elements. Or there's a tendency to overlook the appreciation, the interest, and the preparedness, especially if in your environment, that's what you know. But the minute we begin to contemplate that there are people who have no idea of why people prize education, which is what appreciation means. I prize it. It's number one. If we don't appreciate that some people don't have that prize, then we won't appreciate why there is no interest. Then we won't appreciate why people aren't going to school. My father wanted to go to school, but he could not. Because of his race in the South, he was a sharecropper, was a slave, as he called himself. Today, schools are there that I can't get it, or they're there but I won't go. Buses go by every day, but I'm not one. So I think the appreciation, the interest, the preparedness, it helps drive the execution, which then needs to be attained. So I think there are so much about appreciation. There's a art appreciation, there are the language arts, there are the visual arts. Well, typically there is an education that makes people appreciate that. So what I'm going to talk about is really an education arts that we have an opportunity to really lift up and expose to thousands, millions of young people and families. I think that begins to get at the root that then causes more people to start engaging in the education enterprise, which then drive all these ROIs that you're talking about. Thank you. Great presentation.
Thank you, Dennis. Noted that, and then we can have some additional follow-up when we meet here soon. Thank you for that.
Any other comments?
Just yeah, thank you very quickly. Again, thank you for joining, Madam Secretary, for that having. I appreciate the alignment piece that you bring to the table. We all know the higher ed starts at it's the same thing. So this is going to afford new opportunities for us. I do want to say that I see some value sets in here, and I want to stress the importance of those and say that they bear repeating from time to time, given the rapid onset of new technology and other things. My fear sometimes is that we be driven by as opposed to driving change by using those tools to our advantage. And responding to market needs, important as it is, for employers sometimes can be trends. And so the charge of this group to keep the big picture in mind, look at the entire pipeline and maintain this set of values on behalf of future taxpayers and people of the state, I think couldn't be more important. And so thank you for stating that today. I hope we continue to do that and we're reminded as needed of what our values actually are. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. And that was something that was loud and clear from commission members. And I will not share anything that we talked about, but that was a common theme I heard. Bill, so thank you.
Yeah, I've been, in the spirit of appreciation and thanks, one group that I've been a note to myself to mention that I forgot to mention. I also want to thank the institutions. We have phenomenal higher ed institutions in this state, as we all know. Evidenced by how many people from outside Indiana come here and want to get their education here for all sorts of good reasons. So I also want to thank the presidents and the institutions and all the partners within those institutions who have leaned in and worked closely with the team,
Yes.
secretary and all of us to really make this transition so far very smooth and seamless. And I expect the same going forward. So thank you to our university partners. And we really do look at them as partners. And yes, we're here to help support the great work that they do, including their boards of trustees, which are so committed to higher ed and students in Indiana and beyond. So thank you. Any other comments before we move forward? Okay, hearing none. We'd like to move now to our consent agenda, which has been posted online. As you would have seen, the consent agenda for today includes the 2026 commission meeting schedule. You also have a copy of that in front of you. And as we've talked, but just to reiterate, we are moving for 2026, we are moving meetings to this site for a number of good reasons. And so that's part of, we are also going to move the timing since we're doing a more condensed meeting format. We're going to move the timing back an hour to start at 10 o'clock going forward, since we're able to end early enough to allow folks to effectively and efficiently get back to their homes in a timely manner. So with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda as scheduled for 2026.
So moved. Second.
Thank you. Thank you. Any comments, questions? All right, hearing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Thank you very much. Motion passes. All right, we're now going to move on. Let me see, make sure I'm not missing anything. We're going to move on to our first item of new business, which is the 2026-27 Frank O'Bannon Grant Schedule of Awards. Cody Robinson is going to present that to us. I'm just looking forward to your presentation, Cody.
Thank you. Good morning.
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 Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Okay. So today we're going to be presenting the 26-27 proposed schedule of awards for the Frank O'Bannon Grant. Before we get to that point, we do have a presentation prepared that kind of level sets on what the grant is, its background, and its recent history. So I'm going to walk you with you through that today. So the Frank O'Bannon Grant is Indiana's primary needs-based financial aid program serving Indiana students going to Indiana institutions. And it's actually made up of two different awards. The Higher Education Award, which is for students attending public and proprietary institutions, and our Freedom of Choice Grant for those students attending private institutions. Since fiscal year 2021, so for the last few years, the Indiana General Assembly has appropriated 167, almost 168 million annually for those two grant programs combined, which we generally refer to as Frank O'Bannon. And this has been true for fiscal year 26 and 27. And I want to make a note that here, as many of you know, in the 25 budget bill, a number of things saw reductions in response to the changing economic climate, but the Frank O'Bannon Grant did not, and that's something we're very thankful for. I also want to emphasize the position that the Franklin Banning Grant holds, not only within our financial aid program, but our overall mission as a commission. Last year, there were over 37,000 recipients of the Franklin Banning Grant, and that's over half of all state scholarship recipients. So a very, very large portion of our state financial aid recipients or scholarship recipients are Franklin Banning awardees. And like I said, each year we're appropriated about 168 million. And that is of the roughly 400 million total state student financial aid spending that we do each year. So as you can see, the Franklin Banning Award is a very large and a very important piece of the pie of our overall mission in terms of making education after high school accessible and affordable to future students and families. There we go. I also want to touch on a couple of the eligibility requirements for statute. They are all listed here. But a couple that I do want to highlight, again, this is for Indiana residents who are going to Indiana institutions like within our state borders. Students can use these awards for an associate's degree, their very first bachelor's degree, or a certificate at High-Tech or Vincennes University. There are also different levels or different amounts that students can be eligible for in the award based on how many credit hours they're taking. So students taking at least 24 credit hours qualify for one level of the award. If they're taking more than 30 credit hours, they can actually be eligible for a higher amount of that award. So that's another component of eligibility that we consider students. And the last piece that I'll highlight here is the importance of the FAFSA for the Franklin Banning Grant. So, like I said, this is our primary needs-based scholarship, and how we determine need is through the completion of the pre-application for federal student aid, and as a part of that is the calculation known as the Federal Student Aid Index. That allows us to see what level of need students have, and based on that level of need, the award amount can change. That's why it's very important for students and families to make sure they're completing that FAFSA by that April 15th deadline each year, and every subsequent year that they're attending a higher ed institution. So one of the things that we wanted to do too is give some insight into what this looks like on the commission side or the staff side in order to administer this grant program. So we come before the commission to propose a schedule of awards every year about this time. That timing is specific partly because one, we have found that over the years that by October, we usually have a pretty good amount of data to make a guess at what kind of spending that we're going to be seeing over the next couple of years. And then also, we want to make sure that we're putting forward their schedule in a timely manner for our institutions. And so we'll come before this body, propose that schedule about this time every year, and then shortly thereafter, we'll take that schedule to the state budget committee, which is also required per statute, to present that to them. And once that is on their agenda and has been, and that meeting has been held, we will be able to communicate that officially to our institutional partners, and then begin pulling together financial aid packages for students for the upcoming year. Once students are then attending the universities, those institutions will let us know and make claims on eligible students. We'll verify that eligibility, and then we release those funds from the commission to the institutions. So then on the student side of things, what students experience is, they're probably about now applying to schools that they're interested in, both in the Indiana schools. And then following that, they'll also complete the FAFSA by that April 15th deadline. And then there we go. Then students will receive their admittance and their financial aid letters from the institutions. Again, it's super important that we're good partners, that institutions can deliver that in a timely manner. And then that way students and families can make those informed decisions about what's next for them after high school. Students will need to accept their admissions offers by May 1st. That's a standard deadline, across the country for our sort of a typical academic year institutions. And then once students are attending and we release those funds from the commission to the universities, students will see those applied against their tuition fees. That's a little bit of a look kind of into what the process is like, both for us and the commission, and then also for what students experience. The next thing that I wanted to do is talk briefly about the last couple of years, history of the Franco Banning grants, and kind of how we got to where we are today. So the graph that you see in front of you, the orange bars will represent the recent appropriations. So like I said, that's for the last couple of years, been about 167, 168 million annually. The blue bars then represent how much we've spent, and the yellow bars represent a balance that was accruing over time of savings from underspending. And as you can see in this graph, there was a number of years where there was an underspend of the award. We were underspending it by about $30 million. So as many of you know, because many of you were here, but for those who were not, in 2022, the commission recommended increasing the Franco Banning Award by 35% in order to bring the max award level equal to about what it was pre-Great Recession. So about to that equal value. That worked the way we thought it would for about a year. And you can see that in the graph where we kind of demonstrate the increase in spending between fiscal year 23 and fiscal year 24. In 2024, the federal government also made some changes to the federal student aid index. And those changes were unexpected at the time. And what the sort of end result of those changes was it greatly accelerated our spending as well at the Franco Banning grant, because again, we rely on that calculation of the federal student aid index to determine eligibility. That resulted in the increase that you see between fiscal year 24 spending and fiscal year 25 spending. And that put this commission in a very difficult place between carrying out our mission and but also being good stewards of the funds that we've been entrusted by the General Assembly. And so this body made the difficult decision to lower awards last year for the current academic year, 25 and 26. And that results in what you see there, the difference in spending between fiscal year 25 and fiscal year 26 on that graph. We are currently projecting for the current year spending of the award schedule to be about 160 million of that $168 million appropriation. I'll also make a quick note. As you can see, those yellow bars sort of end at fiscal year 24. That is because as part of 1001, the budget bill in this current, the 2025 session, 77.5 million of those savings that we accumulated were reverted to the state general fund as part of the larger response to the economic conditions. And the Franco Banning awards no longer have that legal status that allows them to build up those savings. So that is not something that we have going forward at this time. So now I'll get to kind of the schedule of awards, the voting item. And as I do, I want to kind of set that by letting you know what were some of the things that were on our mind and some of the really important considerations that we had when we were setting the schedule of awards. So first and foremost, of course, was the mission of the Franco Banning grant and the commission in general, and that is that continue to remove those barriers, in this case, really financial barriers between high school students, between education beyond high school and future families and students. We also wanted to be good stewards, and that means keeping that investment in the program aligned to that budget, aligned to that appropriation. We also wanted to be really considerate about how our decision-making process affects our key stakeholders. First and foremost, being our Hoosier families and students, and making sure that when we present an award schedule and we vote and approve an award schedule, that schedule is the schedule for the year, and that we are not having to come and change that schedule in order to stick within budgets. That was a really key consideration for us, so as not to disrupt students mid-academic year. And the last thing that we really considered heavily was timing. And that is, the delivery of the schedule in a timely manner so that our institutional partners can build those financial aid packages. So, like I said, one of the things that we do as we go to set this schedule is we try to predict what that spending will be. And we do that by using a number of different factors, looking at how we think, students will spread across different institutional types, different, levels of credit hours. We use a number of factors that you can see there on the slide. One of the things that will be new, in the next couple of months is we will actually be publishing this methodology. And that will become public. And we invite our institutional partners, our financial aid organizations, or any other stakeholders that are interested in this sort of work to provide us feedback and let us know what they think that we could be doing to improve our methodology. Because one, just in the spirit of transparency and collaboration, but also too, knowing that whatever improvements we make will empower this body to make even better decisions going forward. And so that is something that will come out over the next couple of months. You can stay tuned for that. And of course, invite everyone in this body to take a look at that and provide more feedback as well. So here's where we'll kind of present what we're proposing for that fiscal year academic year 26-27 schedule of awards. Similar to how all of our institutions have agreed and committed to full tuition flat for the academic year 26-27. We are recommending that the current schedule of awards for the Franklin Banning Grant in that academic year also be maintained flat to its current, the same schedule of awards as the current academic year. So as you can see, if that is, when we propose that, if that's what we vote on and approve, we expect the spending of this schedule of awards to be about the same in fiscal year 27 as we are currently predicting for fiscal year 26. I'll also note that right now, those funds do not have their savings status. They cannot build up savings, but there are options for us if there is any monies left over for us to consider and work with the state budget agency to apply those towards 21st century or adult student grant in order to make sure those dollars are staying within higher education. So that's something that we'll explore later on as we see things play out in real time. And how I want to leave you today is with one final graph. And this one here depicts this orange line here shows the actual spending of the Franklin Banning Grant over time, and that blue line represents that trend line. And as you can see, even from just a few years ago, we are still investing $30 million more in the Franklin Banning Grant, the program, and what that means for students and families than we were even just a couple of years ago. And so, what I think this means for us is that Indiana has been and will continue to be a leader in the nation in terms of awarding needs-based financial aid. And as one of our priorities being making higher education or education after high school accessible and affordable to students and families, that's something that I do not believe is going to change. And so with that, I'll turn it over to y'all and answer any questions that you may have.
So if I may just double down on a couple of things you said. Slide 13, I want to draw attention to. The commission has a current methodology. It's interesting when talking to some of the public college presidents and especially some of the private college presidents, they have ideas on the methodology. And so $168 million, let's make sure it gets to Hoosiers in the best way possible. So we are going to transparently share that methodology in January with the public in hopes that we're doing everything we can to make sure we have eyes on it and are spending that money as prudently and wisely as possible. So I'm excited about that. I love when we can put something out transparently. Inevitably, it's always ended up better when the public can weigh in. Slide 14, I'm going to draw your attention to that, the green box that shows the 168 orange bar and the 157 blue bar. It was asked by different folks repeatedly, what happens if we underspend. Because again, that past underspend, the yellow bars there, the General Assembly swept all of that back in. They reverted everything. So I think it's a really important question. We do have the ability for any remaining balance to be transferred into 21st Century Scholar Fund or the Adult Student Grant Fund. Our goal, of course, and this is why I think putting the methodology out there is so important. Our goal is to get as close to that 168 as possible. But lesson learned from past commissioner who wisely said, when you go over, you never want to have to go back. So that is just a couple details I think we're proactively trying to do to continue to get better as a team. So thank you for your presentation, Cody, and I'd love to hear feedback from others.
Standing presentation.
This Mike, Dan, I would just say the Budget and Productivity Committee reviewed this last week at our meeting and again, covered it pretty extensively. And I'd just like to share that group supports this approach and approving this budget.
Thank you, Mike. Yes.
That was a great presentation. Someone that seems to be listening to our commissioner's presentation about the words earlier. Something that seems to be conspicuous about absence, and maybe it's there in another presentation that goes to families. But it seems like there's an opportunity for some preamble. When people get awards, is there an education around all the words you were using earlier? That citizens are being invested in. That you're thought so highly of. That investments are being made in your life and in the future and your family. So that you can grow, develop your skill, return contribution to your family, return contribution to the community, be an outstanding citizen for this state, for the nation. That these are, to your points, these are really investments. And I know it wasn't until I got older, I'm applying for financial aid, but it was never imparted to me that you're able, this is not a given. That someone has made it possible for you to have this opportunity. So I appreciate that now more than I ever did, but no one ever took the time to educate. And I'm wondering if over time, there are just those very nice, insightful messages, consciousness raising. People are not just that much more appreciative, but then you have more people wanting to stay in your state and wanting to turn around and see how I can invest and return value and return thanks because of the state's very generous investment. And then maybe there'll be more inclination to steward that investment, higher completion rates, higher retention rates, higher persistence rates, just starting with the investment, the message of investment. So great organization.
Not to step on your eloquence, but I make a motion that Dennis writes the letter that goes with the.
I love when we delegate tasks.
Beautifully said.
Yeah, it really was. That we invest in people. We believe in you. We invest. Yeah, I was quoting him as well, Molly. The one thing I was looking back and some of the, again, members, Cody, maybe you could hit on this. I'm sure folks in the audience who've been around know how this is communicated. Looking back at slide 7, it looks like we as a commission communicate with the institutions, and then the institutions communicate with the student. Now, that's not to say we could not include some sort of a letter with that communication, but it's something we could talk to our institutions about. So I think it's a good flag. I mean, it is an investment. And we believe in that person. We're investing in you to enroll and complete an education and then be a good citizen of our country, matters. So, once we talk to our institutions, Dennis, we'll get you the timeline so you can write the letter and.
Dennis, you, every time, I mean, the substance of what you say.
Yeah,
But also the way you say it is just so much appreciated. For those of you who are old enough in the room, don't be embarrassed by this, but every time you talk, I think, is he up? You know, the old house. Yeah, when E.F. Hutton talks, you know, the old ad where everybody's in a restaurant, they're talking real loud. Mr. Hutton starts to speak and everybody just shuts up and listens. And, again, not to embarrass you, but I think about it every time. So, thank you for what you do and what you say. Thank you. Ed.
Thank you, good presentation, very much appreciated. I just have a couple quick questions. One is factual. Federal student aid index, is that adjusted for the cost of living in India? In other words, do we know whether potentially the students in Bloomington, the cost of living there is very high? So I'm just wondering if the board is sensitive to the cost of living in the state where they might be going.
That's a good question. I do know that it takes into account, the family's, income, and their assets. Because again, I do not believe it takes into account, the state or where they might be.
Yeah, I think it's sort of blanket for the country. So that might be do we potentially to adjust that? Yeah, it's more expensive. But then more broadly, and this sort of follows on here, what Dennis was saying a little bit. How do we know whether these grants are working? So I think when you're helping people in need, every dollar is working in a sense, you know, this. But Secretary Jenner just laid out all these other goals. So you might wonder, how are they abandoned scholarships? How many with attendance? One quick metric might be how many of these scholarships end up not being used. So it's called a take-up rate, right? That's from my background. So that would be used.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I don't have that off the top of my head, but I know we have a really strong business intelligence team, and I think that that's definitely something that we can like take back and consider and figure out how we will kind of build that into as we build out these more explicit ROIs. I think that's something we can work on.
and I would just kind of double down on Ted's, not only the take-up rate of the state student financial aid, really looking at that whole pie chart we saw beyond just O'Bannon. But it also, we can probably run the data on, you know, retention of students year over year who get, I mean, there are a number of data points that we can look at to better understand the impact. Thank you for flagging that.
Ken first and then Pepper.
Would echo everybody, great, presentation, very helpful. And, 2 years in, and on the commission, just have a question about, maybe more from a policy standpoint. So when you look back into some of the years, where we, were way underspend, would that have been, what would be the reasons? Was that maybe direction, or was that, what would be the reason? Just as we think through the future, I love the thought, Secretary Jenner, about getting as close as you can, right? Because we know we know the students in need. But I'm just thinking back some of those years, and kind of also thinking ahead, could this happen again? Or we're asked to come in under, or did it just was a part of the process that we came in under?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me, I don't know off the top of my head exactly, So let me get back to you on that one, and kind of figure out what is really that difference between what we were setting the budget at and what we were coming in at. So I can look back at that, those communications, see if I can get you any more detail on that.
And Dan just said, Michelle might be an expert on this, so.
Yeah, I can provide a little bit more, Cody does another investigating. Many of you may recall that the Franklin Schedule Board was adjusted back to, around the Great Recession. Part of the reason for the 35% increase a few years ago was to try to get back to those pre-recession levels. And there was some guidance for a period of time after that not to adjust the schedule of awards back up. And then coupling that with, the declining college going rate, there was certainly some understanding related to that as well. And then if you think about the continued growth of 21st century scholars, Frank Lebanon is really meant to be for those low-income students who either move into the state during high school and miss that sign-up window in middle school for 21st century scholars, or don't meet the requirements to activate their 21st century scholars award. So we've done a better job of enrolling students into the 21st century scholars program and helping them achieve that award. It affects the Frank Lebanon spending as well. So a combination of different factors.
Thank you. Yeah, helpful. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Cody.
Terrific comments by everyone. Thank you very much. I look at a lot of things similar to in working for AT&T signal strength, that nobody notices the investments that we put into the network to make the ability to connect broader, better, but everybody notices when the signal goes down. It's the end of the world. And this is rotten. Nobody cares. It's terrible. Even though we're investing billions of dollars in making it better all the time, similar to the state investing millions into students to make them, their families, and their future better. So when this grant amount goes down, I'm concerned that it will be perceived as catastrophic when it's not. It's the investment that's been made into the programs, into the people, that has been very important. I love what Dennis said, similar to that when it's a handout, you don't appreciate it. It's similar to the investments that we make in the network. It's expected. I don't have what someone else has. And so to level the playing field, I expect that handout. And it's scared mentality, scared thinking. But Dennis, when we speak about investing, we took the time, we invested in you, we invested in your family, we invested in your future. That's what makes the difference. That's what drives those metrics. And he's got that magic sauce from the Center for Leadership Excellence. So I'm counting on his letter, but it's also a mentality of how do we duplicate that mentality at the state level, at the community level, that we really are investing in people.
Great points.
And then one just, first of all, that was a great commercial for AT&T.
Spot 69.
Listen, just appropriation at 168 million has remained steady since fiscal year 2021. And then what the commission is voting on today is the same as, so there's not a reduction in what we're voting on for students. Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
I apologize.
That's okay.
Wrong language, but
Yeah,
again, it's not catastrophic. It's the investment, the amount that has been invested.
thank you, Pepper.
Yeah, the trend line is to me the part of the message there on that graph that's showing. We continue to increase. Yeah, we wish that glitch hadn't happened. Any other questions for Cody? Cody, great presentation. Thank you. It really clarifies a lot, I think. We hear this, once a year, and it's even after hearing it many, many times over the years, it's good to refresh our minds and understand how the process works. So that's super, super helpful. So we do have to vote in approval, or approve these, this recommendation. So I would entertain a motion for the, approval of the Frank O'Bannon, schedule of awards as presented by Cody.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Any additional comments or questions? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same? Okay, very good. Thank you very much. Motion approved. All right, we are moving into our Budget and Productivity Committee section of the meeting. We have two capital projects for full discussion. The first project is the purchase of 501 Indiana Avenue by Purdue University from the Purdue Research Foundation. Materials were shared online. You've got information in your books. I will turn to Mike Alley on the phone, who's the chair of the Budget and Productivity Committee, who will take us through this.
Well, thank you very much, Dan. Our committee did meet last week on the 6th and reviewed both of these capital project requests and supported moving them forward to the full commission for consideration. So I'm assuming I'm going to turn it over to Cody, and probably Kendra, I assume, is there and will present on behalf of Purdue these two projects. I would suggest that we consider each of them separately. But again, the Budget Productivity Committee did review these and is supportive of moving them forward to the full commission. So I'll turn it to you, Cody, to let you drive things there in person.
I'll be happy to wait here quickly, so you can work with Kendra, but just wanted to let you know, for both of these projects, you said, the staff was recommended. So I'll let, Bree come up and explain more about them, but.
Morning, commission members, Dr. Jenner. Thanks for having me today. If you'll indulge me for just a moment, I'd like to give a little bit of background on both of these two projects. So you'll see, in addition to the standard Excel sheet and items that we turn in for all capital projects, we've also included a trifold of our campus master plan of our Purdue Indianapolis location. For those of you that aren't familiar with this, a few years ago, IUPUI went through a split where now Purdue has a full campus here, R1 institution in Indianapolis, and so do our counterparts at IU. And so these two capital projects are related to our Purdue Indianapolis campus. This project as a whole is our #1 institutional priority for the next year, standing up this campus, adding programs, and bringing the full force of Purdue University to Indianapolis. So there's some kind of background about why we're here today. So the first project that I would like everyone to consider is the acquisition of 501 Indiana Avenue from the Purdue Research Foundation. The property includes 1.5 acres of developed land and a paved parking lot. The acquisition provides the university with both near-term and long-term benefits, increases parking capacity, and provides space for student programming in Indianapolis. The purchase is being funded by $9 million of reserve operating funds, which is equal to the purchase price that Purdue Research Foundation released it from Yarrow Street Development. I'm happy to take any questions.
Any questions online? All right, very good. Cody, you already recommended, staff is fully in support. Any other comments or from you or Mike for consideration, or you good? We're good. Thumbs up. All right. So hearing none, would entertain a motion for approval of the 501 Indiana Avenue purchased by Purdue.
So moved.
So moved.
Second.
So moved.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, comments? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same. All right, very good. That's motion approved. Move on to the second one, the Canal Square Apartments.
So the next project for your consideration is the transaction of purchasing Canalsburg Apartments from the Career Research Foundation. The property includes a housing complex with nearly 500 beds, a parking garage, retail space along the Indianapolis Canal Walk adjacent to Purdue University in Indianapolis. Acquiring this property allows us to increase our on-campus housing inventory for students, expand our footprint in Indianapolis. This purchase also aligns with our Purdue campus master plan. The total purchase cost is $70 million and will be funded by non-fee replaced debt, auxiliary housing guiding funds, supported through bond issuance. I'm happy to take questions.
Okay, same game here, Cody and Mike, I think we're good to go. Any other comments or questions from anyone? All right, so I would entertain a motion for approval of the Canal Square Apartments by Purdue. Thank you. Second, okay. All right, unless there are any other questions, I will appreciate your vote here. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same. Wonderful, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Motion approved, both motions approved. I will pass along to my one daughter who lived in those apartments while she was a graduate school, now by Purdue, and she'll be thrilled with that. All right, let's see. We now are moving on. Gotta get caught up here. Oh, yes, academic affairs. We have 3 academic degree programs for expedited action. Going to turn it over to Dennis, chairs the Academic Affairs and Quality Committee. These are expedited action, but just as a reminder, we do need to break out the ones from the IU's titles, the media school, because Ted needs to recuse himself from that as a faculty.
Yeah, allow me to.
Yeah.
And then I'm not here. As you from earlier conversation, now. We gone through them with the bags, I say I appreciate. Everyone, their work, their involvement, their preparations and readiness for our AAQ committee meetings. And so actually, Mr. really recused himself is citing this question that has been a value. So everyone, really thank you so much for serving that committee with that alternative to good man.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Peterson. The Academic Affairs and Quality Committee met on October 27th and discussed the 3 academic programs on the issue today. I recommend they be placed on today's agenda for expedited action. Those being Indiana University of Bloomington, a Bachelor of Science in Sports Media, and a Bachelor of Science in Robotics. For Purdue West Lafayette, a Master of Science in Strategy and Security and Defense Technologies.
Thank you, Dr. Butler. And I would just say that being on that committee, robust discussion about all 3 programs, and very enthusiastic in support of those. The sports market or sports media degree, let's take that one first, if we could, since Ted has recused himself. So I would entertain a motion for approval of that program. So moved. Thank you. Need a second? Second. Thank you very much. Any comments or questions or concerns on that? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed, same.
Aye.
Was that an aye for approval or a? Okay, I think it was. Okay, thank you. Sorry. Was that a nay?
It was Mike Allen.
Did he say?
It's just confirmed.
Yeah.
Minutes.
Commission Member Alley, can you hear us?
Mike,
Yes.
are you there? Was that a?
Yes, I'm here.
nay
Yeah,
or-
can you hear me?
Was
What's
that
that?
a nay or was that just a delayed yay?
It's a yay. Yeah, yes.
Okay, very good. We just wanted, there was a delay. We just want to make sure it came in after I asked for any opposition, so we just wanted to make sure we captured your intent correctly. So thank you.
Yes. Sorry about that.
All right, now I think we can take the other two programs, the robotics program, and now I'm short-term memory loss and space in the second one.
The defense program.
Oh, yeah, very good, very good. We can take those together. And Ted, you are now able to vote on this session. So I would entertain a motion for approval of the other two consent agenda items. For expedited action items. Thank you.
Motion to approve, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bill. Second.
Second.
All right, thank you. Any other comments, questions on those? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, very good. Those programs are approved. Thank you all. All right, finally, we're going to move on to our student success program presentation. So we're going to hear today from Indiana University Northwest on their presentation on student success. We have a presentation from Brenda Stover, who's Vice President for Student Success, Enrollment, and Institutional Effectiveness at Indiana University. So thank you for being here. Sure.
Great, good morning. You want to never go here.
You might have to pull that mic in for those online.
Everybody hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Good morning. My name is Brenda Stover. I'm the Vice President. I serve as the Vice President for Student Success, Enrollment, and Institutional Effectiveness at Indiana University. My team is laser focused on improving student outcomes and maximizing organizational efficiency across our enterprise. I came into this role July 1 of this 2025, and I'm super passionate about this work. Actually, I have 2 children that are at IU, so I see a lot through their lens, and that is what really drives me to help make them better for everybody. Our team is squarely focused on advancing the goals and objectives of our IU 2030 student success pillar of our strategic plan. At the heart of this commitment is retention, a key indicator of student success. Higher retention rates lead to a stronger graduation outcome, which translates to better workforce readiness. Retention also reflects how well our students are thriving academically, socially, and holistically, showing that IU is supporting them every step of the way. Across all campuses, we're driving strategic initiatives to improve fall-to-fall retention, using the fall 22 cohort as our baseline benchmark. Both Bloomington and IU Indianapolis have set ambitious goals. IU Bloomington aims to be in the top 25% of the AAU universities, while IU Indianapolis is striving to be among the top 25% of its peer group. This slide shows 2 years of retention numbers against our baseline, which was fall 2022. For students who returned then in fall 2023. As you can see, we have a lot of variability happening. Only 3 of our 7 campuses have improved from the baseline: Indianapolis, Kokomo, and Northwest. These results underscore a critical imperative. We must sustain and sharpen our focus on targeted, scalable efforts to drive retention improvements across all campuses.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
What does it mean to be in the top 25%? What is that number you're shooting for?
For AAUs, it's mid
Like about, for Bloomington, it's about 93%.
Okay, so we're looking at near 3%. Okay, thank you for that.
Today, I'm going to cover a few key initiatives that we are leaning into heavily that have actually shown positive impact on student success. These include early proactive advising, our focus on DFW rates, and enhanced student engagement initiative, our Stellar and other technology implementations, and the standing up of a centralized student journey communications team.
What is DFW?
It's when students receive a grade of a D and F or withdraw from their course.
Thank you.
When you hear academic advising, you might think of course planning and registration, and that's part of it. But the best advising goes much further. It creates space for deeper conversations that help students clarify their academic and career goals, talk through challenges, and feel a stronger connection to the university. And when we time those intentional conversations well, we see real results. This chart shows 1-year retention rates for first-time IU students in the fall 24 cohort, so the students that started in fall 24. Students who didn't meet with an advisor early in the fall 24 term returned to IU at a 79% rate. But those students who did have an early advising meeting returned at 83%, a nearly 4% increase. That's a meaningful difference at our scale. And this pattern holds true even when we control for high school GPA, demographics, campus, major, in-course engagement, and other advising interactions. So this fall, we've taken what worked or what showed worked and made it a coordinated strategy across the entire IU enterprise.
And when you look at that early advising, is it early advising just the freshman year? Is it every single year? Is it ongoing? Can you say a little bit about what it means?
So for retention, what we typically are measuring is first year to second year. So starting freshman.
Yeah, and I'm not talking retention, let me clarify.
Oh, sorry.
I'm assuming you can define the tactic early advising.
Oh, okay, yes, yep, let me get to this next slide and talk to you about that. So, the model that we are using is, focused on this early advising initiative. And what we've learned is we target weeks 2 through 7 of the fall semester as the key opportunity. Week 1, advisors are still messing with the schedule, right? Like late changes to somebody's schedule. Weeks 8, they're actually, and beyond that, they're actually working on the next term. So right now, we're in the planning time or where people are trying to plan for their spring schedule. So that weeks 2 to 7 are the critical planning time. So we're focusing outreach on a group of students who are less likely to be retained without proactive support and have launched these early advising appointments dedicated across all of our campuses. When they come in for these early advising meetings, advisors use coaching-based techniques to build rapport, to help students talk about their goals, and anticipate any sort of obstacles. All our advisors are now trained on these techniques. The goal is simple: meet the right students at the right time with the right conversation. So we're using our limited staff resource where they'll have the biggest impact. Compared with fall 24, Participation in early advising meetings among all first-year students increased by 13 percentage points this year, just now. So a lot more students met with advisors early in the term. So we're optimistic that this will show us good results. The intervention reached the students who need it the most. So we look at our priority population, those who most likely, based on our data, not to be retained. 62% of those completed a meeting this year compared to 55% of non-priority. High engagement among a priority group is a meaningful success, given that they're harder to get in touch with. We will continue to focus on this priority population as we move forward. For spring, we will update this list using the students' first semester results and do a coordinated outreach effort that escalates email to texting to personal phone calls, ensuring timely and almost intrusive support to these students.
Can I ask just a quick question? Excellent results, thank you. I'm curious, what have you found are the things that most incentivize students to take advantage of this advising? Because, I mean, obviously it's not mandatory, and I remember 45 years ago when I was a freshman, I don't remember any advising. I don't remember if it was an advisor I should have seen and just blew it off or what, but I'm just kind of curious. There's so much focus on this today, which is awesome. But how do you ultimately incentivize those students to take advantage of it?
All right. We are moving towards more mandatory. So basically what happens is a hold, which I'm not a huge fan of holds. So a hold will prevent registration. That hold gets placed, and until they actually meet with the advisor, that hold won't live and they can't register. So there's an incentive on their part, but there's an incentive on our part because we want them to continue. So it's a balancing act, but yeah. But I think that's why we're also, it's hard for us to try to have advising for all almost 90,000 students across. So we're really trying to target in on those that give metrics that, they may have challenge keeping going.
Thank you.
Okay, another key area that affects whether students stay on track, the number of students who fail, withdraw, or barely pass their courses. This is the DFW rate. And this matters because each D, F, or W in the first semester a student gets cuts a student's odds of returning by more than half. It's very discouraging when that happens. Here you will see the progress we're making. This chart shows that across all IU campuses, the percentage of students getting a D or F or withdrawing from a course has dropped from 13.5% in 2022 to 10.8% last fall. That should, according to our data, mean that more students will stay on track towards retention and graduation.
Can I ask a quick question on that? What was the intervention that you guys, how did you drive?
Yeah. I should pull myself.
I was writing there for myself and then I got excited about what you said. And
So the DFW rate decline isn't happening by chance, obviously. This reflects targeted work happening across IU to help more students succeed in their classes. For example, IU Northwest, new students are placed into course plans that spread out the toughest classes instead of stacking them all in the first semester. At IU Bloomington, faculty in high-risk courses are redesigning how they teach based on student feedback, especially around belonging and support. At IU Indianapolis, instructors are using tools like AI and adaptive learning to personalize support throughout the semester. And across all campuses, we're now flagging students who fall behind on assignments and sending them timely nudges to help them re-engage. So what we're doing there, just want to explain that a little bit, is that we can go in and monitor in our learning system if there's assignments that are due. And if a student isn't engaging or hasn't logged into, it's called Canvas, if they haven't been in there, then we can nudge them and try to say, hey, you know, we need you to, did you remember that an assignment's due? That kind of stuff. And that has a really positive impact too. But these are just a few of the smart, focused changes our campuses have been making to improve this metric. Student engagement. I want to talk to you now about the impact of engagement on student success. Research shows that co-curricular engagement positively influences student success, with involved students demonstrating higher persistence and graduation rates compared to their non-engaged peers. At IU, an enterprise-level contract with Anthology Engage is the primary platform used to measure student participation in co-curricular activities. Each instance is uniquely branded for its respective campus. For example, the Bloomington platform is called Be Involved, while at Kokomo it's known as Cougar Life. In 2024-25, here. In 2024-25, there were 9,000, for just Bloomington, 9,692 registered activities in this Be Involved platform, generating 75,000 attendees with 22,000 unique students participating. So what we started to do was measure the engagement in this platform. So this chart presents the one-year retention rates from fall 2024 beginners at Bloomington compared to this past fall. So fall to fall retention. The bar on the left reflects the retention rate of students with no documented engagement. So in this platform, we couldn't find any indication that they were engaged. These students were retained at 81%. The bar on the right shows the students with at least one documented engagement, and they were retained at a significantly higher rate, 90%. This represents a nearly 9.5 percentage point increase, underscoring the strong positive impact of engagement on student persistence. So building on this clear link between co-curricular engagement and retention, we've taken several steps to help our campuses connect with disengaged students. We're generating systematic engagement reports from Anthology, a platform that tracks participation, to identify students with no documented engagement. These have been shared this fall, just in the last, 2 weeks, I would say, with our campuses, student affairs units. The reports identify individuals who are just disengaged or seem to be disengaged based on what we can tell, and who may be at risk of leaving IU due to limited connection or belonging. So we've handed this information off to our campus leadership teams and asked them to engage in activities to reach out to these students. As of this fall, we've worked with the campuses on adding even more information into this Anthology platform. For example, at Bloomington and Indianapolis, we are trying to integrate the recreation center data so that students check in as they go in to work out or things like that. So we're trying to build other data points to see if we can see any other engagement. But we've merged data from these systems with 0 co-curricular engagement, those that failed to meet with an advisor in week 2 through 7, and then those that had low Canvas, the learning system, activity scores. And we identified 1,600 students across our whole enterprise who just had no activity. We engaged our IU call center that's based down in Bloomington to actually make good old fashioned phone calls. Cause I said, we've got to move quick. We can't wait for the campuses to get engaged because they have to shift gears. Let's get the call center on the phone and reach out. They actually had 25, I was stunned by this, and they were stunned by this. 25% of the students answered the phone. Stunning. And they had deep conversations with those people in the call center. And I'm hopeful that this would show a connection or make a connection for these students. But a lot of times it was about, needing guidance or needing to know where they go, or, which is just, I think we're just such a big institution that sometimes people just feel lost, to be honest. So 25%, of those people that they called, they left messages for both, a bunch of them. And then of course there was like about 10% where the phone numbers don't work. So that's a whole nother thing we're looking into. That's about engagement. The next one I have here is an update on our new student success tool called Stella, which is
Before you go into that, so do you collect the data? Why do students choose IU? Do you know, like individual students, because we're a school choice state, K-12, obviously, and higher ed too.
Yeah.
Do we know why they're choosing you?
Yeah, so we do an entering student survey across all of the campus or all the enterprise. And we do collect the why and what they're interested in, what groups they're, what hobbies they have, what activities they might like. And that's our next step, is to try to, how do we pull that and really lean into that earlier to help them engage?
Well, and I was just thinking about, we know based on research that successful athletic programs and teams can drive up enrollment and drive up a number of other data points, quite frankly. And Ted, I'm sure I know the academics are outstanding there. But I go tailgate at IU, and a lot of those kids really love that. So what I'm wondering though is, you said we're trying to get the data from the recreation center, trying to get the data from, some kids are going to IU because of, they want to.
Right, so ticketing that, yeah.
Yeah, do you look at all of that in
That's
terms
what
of
we're,
retention?
I would say we want to, this is the exercise. We are trying to build all of this. Like I've even asked, okay, maybe they're involved in a fraternity or sorority. How do we get that in? How do we get that or club sports, huge club sports in Bloomington especially? How do we get that? Because they might be engaged. We just can't we don't have consolidated data points yet, but we're working on that.
Well, it'd be interesting if there is a large percentage interested in athletics and they're going to IU, is there a way to, and I'm thinking out loud, this is not, for those listening, this is not a set in stone, but is there a way you could incentivize even fewer first on the list to get a ticket and you're not a DFW or if you're right, but I'm just thinking through, why are they coming and how do we incentivize that? So
Yeah,
you can keep going. I'll be watching those tailgaters on Saturday.
Could I actually step in with a question? This is about slide 12. So, first of all, I have a little difficulty with stepping the delta here because the slide starts at 75%. Sort of makes it a little bigger, 90, 81%. And you've said several times that this is significant. But as I understand it, this is unadjusted for student or institutional characteristics. This is not the result of a regression. This is just students who had engagement 91% retention. Students who didn't have engagement, 81% retention, which makes me say, well, what if it's simply active students are the kind of students who get engagement and also are retained? In other words, this could be just correlation and no causation at all. And I think that comment also applies to slide 6. So what we need is to see some kind of a controlled experiment where we took a random sample of Indiana students and then randomly assigned this one to the advising group, this to the non-advising group. And then if there was a difference there, I believe the delta a lot more. So that's one thing. And then secondly, I appreciate all the effort that's going into trying to help students stay in school. But from I'm the faculty, so but from a classroom perspective, I think one way we could easily retain students would be just give them all A's. Right? But obviously, we don't want to do that because the degree is supposed to be a signal to the world. Let's look at it from an employer's standpoint. I have an Indiana University Bloomington degree, and that's supposed to signal what? Certain kind of achievement, effectiveness. But what if the signal gets diluted because a significant number of students who are getting this degree only have them because of extraordinary efforts that have been made on their behalf? I like those efforts, but I'm also mindful of the fact that if we say to the employer, this young person is more than happy to work if they get a reminder phone call every morning, they get driven on a golf course to their work. You see what I mean? The focus on just getting rid of the T's and F's and W's is not it's not a one-way street. There's some issues there. And then the last thing is, after speaking for other faculty, I know it is really jarring to hear an academic institution referred to as an enterprise. It's just the choice of words. I know, but there are a lot of people that I've talked to who are very angry at the idea of the university being an enterprise. It sounds very familiar.
Well, I'll just explain why I use it, because I know we're in a system. And I think that I hear that a lot, and I try really hard not to confuse people because we're not really a system either. So that I can just say multi-campus.
Institution.
Yeah, thank you. Let's say Stella. So Stella, Stella is our new modern degree planning platform. So a modern degree planning platform should contain at least 3 core functions: degree audit. So think about what courses do I need to take to get this degree. The pathway is really the class plan of what should I take each semester. And then registration, that's the actual adding the courses to your cart and being enrolled. So what's the problem? Well, for the last 20 years, IU had a mix of different tools to help students and actually advisors with these things. But these tools weren't seamlessly integrated and they all look different. I don't know if you can really see that screen, but they just look very, very different. So when students try to sign up for classes, they have to click through at least 3 different screens. The screens didn't always match up. It was very confusing and frustrating. And in some cases, we realized it might be even stopped or caused some students to stop even with registering. So the academic advisement report, it's highlighted with the scroll bar. This is the old version of the degree audit. And it looks old. It looks like it's something on, the old dot matrix printer. And I'll tell you from my son's experience, who was a transfer student, his AAR was 17 pages long. He couldn't figure it out. I went to the president and said, I should get an honorary degree because I figured it out. But it took, I said, this is what we're dealing with. We're not doing right. We're not doing right. So we've been in the process now of implementing Stellar. You can tell right away, it looks different, it looks more modern, and it puts everything students need, degree audit, class planning, and registration, all in one system. But it's not just about looking better. We really chose this product because students need tools that they help them navigate things clearly and pursue those academic interests. They can see how close they are to finishing their degree. They can make their graduation plan, explore majors and minors. Students need technology that enhances their experience, removes barriers, and helps what I call the business of being a student, which I will tell you, we've coined that Bob, the business of being a student, easier. So to do that, we found this technology that is integrated, merges 7 different systems that we have. Degree audit, planning, registration, academic workflow, exception management, milestones, and course exploration. We want to remove the stress of navigating administrative infrastructure by putting everything in one place. Both students and IU need connected technology that drives data-driven insights. This tool will help us be proactive even when we need to look at future class planning. In short, Stellar is a big step forward for us. It will help students stay on track, explore their interests, and graduate without all the confusion. This has been a huge project, huge. As you can imagine, with all of our campuses and all of our programs, to get this built out has been a huge effort on, you see up there, almost 500 people have been involved with this implementation. We started it in fall of 2023. I'm happy to report we brought both Bloomington and Indianapolis up on Stellar this fall. So our students in Bloomington and Indianapolis are now able to see their degree audit, what they need to take, and it's working really well. So we're really excited about that. The Student Journey Communications team is a new centralized team that is bringing subject matter experts and enrollment in the student journey, and they're dedicated to ensuring consistent, high-impact messaging. We ran several pilot campaigns this summer as proofs of concept with much success. The regional re-enrollment campaign proved that we can drive improved outcomes by centralizing our resources and messaging. We assisted in driving increased fall 2025 re-enrollment with a centralized email, text, postcard home, and social media campaign to all non-enrolled students at our 5 regional campuses as of May 25. Our population of unenrolled students increased by over half, or 55%, in a 2-month period. We also ran 2 campaigns in the First Start communication space that had tremendous results. We increased our First Start communications from once to twice a month this summer, saw a huge reduction in our accounts receivable. And then for the first time ever, we actually sent out a welcome message this August to all students and parents, highlighting what to expect with the billing cycle and explaining how to get third-party sign-up to have access to the student's First Start account. We saw 2,776 new third-party signups from August 15th to August 29th. The Bursar's office had never, ever seen that kind of response of signups. The ultimate goal is to make it easier for students to navigate the administrative tasks from admissions to graduations, so they can spend more time and energy on academics and engagement activities. Our comms leader and managers start on Monday, so we're moving forward very quickly with this work. And I'm super, super excited for this. The other part I'll say is what we've learned through our discovery is that while our staff's intent is to communicate well with students and in their heart, they're doing the right thing, unfortunately, there's tons of different departments trying to do the same thing. So students are basically getting spammed. And it's really hard for students to figure out which message I should be listening to. So this is gonna hugely help that, is what one consistent message. And like I said, we're excited about this work. Students are the center of our universe. We're here to help move the needle on persistence, retention, and ultimately graduation. Okay, any questions?
Thank you for a great presentation, Brenda. That's really interesting. Well done. Good luck moving forward. I know you're in the early stages of some of these parts of the journey. So yeah, Tim.
Can you explain what the word holistic means?
Holistic is basically a wraparound. The way I think about it is when you think about well-being, all things that would fit into that for a student, whether that's some of their mental health services, whether that's access to financial resources, access to training platforms about how to manage your resources, things like that. It's about engagement and getting involved. It's about tutoring. It spans all like the academic, what I call academic engagement offerings.
The whole life.
Mm-hmm.
Well, given that, it might be of interest to take note that IUB, it ranks lowest among the bottom 2 or 3 out of 100 nationally in terms of freedoms. So this is a wonderful presentation, but it seems to me there might be an elephant in the room in terms of campus culture, a disconnect between parents and taxpayers and many students, and say the culture that exists at IU. And I suspect that's not in your wheelhouse. But, it seems to me that that situation is providing really strong headwinds and might explain some of this decline in retention. I think it's
Any other questions or comments for Brenda? Thank you.
So I appreciate your focus on recruiting and retaining students. There are always ways that we can improve and, but I really appreciate that you showed us some data today. I understand, and Ted, I think maybe just like Dennis was delegated a good task today, maybe you could, help set up an experiment on how to look at return on investment data in some of this. I'll tell you, in nearly every one of our K-12 tactics and soon to be all the higher ed, we pull the smartest people in the room to set up the experiment to best understand what is driving and moving the needle. So the first step is identifying the challenge and then going after the solution. I think what is always beneficial is if it's an all hands in together for the sake of IU. We need IU to be successful as a state. It is getting a lot of press around the country. I do think a lot of that is due to the athletic success, which we've seen. Freedom of speech matters. I think it's something that the university is absolutely aware of and working through. But again, we'll do everything we can to make sure IU succeeds. We have to succeed as a university or state, and keep on pushing. And Ted, take that delegated task. I'd like to see the homework assignment submitted on that, how the experiment can be set up to understand the return on investment there. So thank you very much for your time. Thank you.
Thank you so very much for the presentation and you all's work. Notice there have been a few occasions where you listed that AI has been used as a tool and an instrument that we are treating. Could you share more about how maybe that is used, it's being used in the past and some of you all are taking graduation programs?
Yeah. Some of our faculty, I know in Indianapolis specifically, are using AI to help, sort of redesign some of the courses and making sure that the courses are relevant. So they're asking a lot of questions and taking that feedback. So that kind of, I would say, avenue there. I will tell you in the student journey space, we are using AI to help us. How do I say this? I call it higher ed ease, which is our language in higher ed, like bursar. Nobody knows what a bursar is. Nobody knows what a provost is. And asking AI to help us translate that into language the regular world would understand. So we're using that to really help us. Because we live in this world, or I live in the work. I think it sounds fine, but then I go and I talk to my neighbor or my son's friends and I say some of these words and they look at me like, "Oop, I don't know what you're saying." So we've got to figure out how we can communicate better. So we use AI to help us with that too.
So on slide 10 where it says what's behind our improved adaptive rates and one of the buildings is AI and other adaptive learning tools. That's an example of what you
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks again. Come to the end of our agenda for today, so I would offer up before we adjourn if there are any other topics or any other rules or new business that anyone wants to bring up, including any comments from the folks online. Yes.
I'm good.
You all got the assignment, but I just want to say sincerely for reference. And the things that I share earlier were motivated by our commissioner's remarks. So it was really my thinking, all the things that she had laid out earlier in terms of this is all about, that was actually my inspirations. Actually, really, and this whole thing that they're doing.
I think that's common, and sure wisdom comes somewhere deep within. So January, just so you all know, the game plan, that is when we will share the methodology very openly. Frank O'Bannon, here's where we are. We will seek public input, including from universities. We will also begin the process. And again, Ted, this might be a great action item for you to help us think through how to best understand the return on investment for some of the tactics that we're deploying. I mean, as a state, again, billions are spent in the K-12 space, billions are spent in the higher ed space. And how do we make sure what we're spending on is really moving the needle? So we'll begin the conversation more deeply with some of those tactics. That's it for me. Thank you, sir.
All right. Yep, Jeff.
Yeah, just want to say, I know I apologize to Dennis and to Dr. Butler before, but I missed the AAQ meeting that I think caused some issues with some of the institutions. I never apologized to them, so publicly, sorry for that. I know it pushed back some of the thing we do here and caused some issues, so I just want to apologize for that. And to tell you, I'm going on vacation on April 15th.
Good for you. Well, especially tune in, just kidding.
So I'm being late today.
I'm thinking, nah, special place, right?
And, Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
perhaps we could be remiss if we did not congratulate Secretary Chadder on receiving the Leader Government Leader
Thank
of
you.
the Year award.
yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Being at that event and her, not only was it much deserved, but your remarks were awesome. So it was really, it was fun to be there. Yeah, so thank you all. And again, welcome officially.
I'll be here.
First meeting, all good, unless there's anything else. Everyone, happy holidays. Enjoy this beautiful weather today and hopefully it'll stay cooperative with us. So thank you all very much. Meeting adjourned.
Yeah, great meeting. Thank you.
Thanks, Larry. Hi, everyone online.
And the mics are hot, you all, just as a heads up.